What's going on, everybody? It's going to be the long-awaited ATAS settings video. So we're going to go over all of my settings for this template. I know you guys have been asking me for my template for quite some time, and I finally updated ATAS to the newest version, and I have all the new widgets and also the heat map and a couple of cool things I'm going to show you guys today. But before we get started, one more thing I wanted to talk about is ATAS was actually awesome and gave me a promo code for this video. They usually do not do promo codes. So if you guys are looking to get ATAS and you want to use this code, you will get 10% off. Obviously, it will support the channel as well. It is for a very limited time. You have less than 1 month to use this code. The code is BREW10, all one word, no spaces, right? BREW10. If you guys do use the code to purchase an annual ATAS plan, I will also throw in 1 month of our Discord as well. If you use it to purchase the lifetime plan, I will throw in 3 months of the Discord. And if you guys want to grab that link, it is down below. And if you need my contact email, it is on the website down below as well. It is admin@oasistrading.io. Yeah, go ahead and use that code if you guys would like. It does support the channel. I appreciate that. Now that we have that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into our settings. So before we get started, I'm going to talk about the dashboard settings before we even get into the actual charts here. So on the dashboard, if you guys go to the top right, there is a cogwheel there that has hotkeys, time zones, commissions, all that stuff. If you guys go to the hotkeys, I will show it here. I personally do not like hotkeys because I can press them randomly on accident and it will mess my trades up or will trade for me, that sort of thing. So I normally turn all of my hotkeys off. So for the most part, pretty much all of my hotkeys are turned off. I don't really use hotkeys in my trading. So that's how I have mine set, but it's personal preference. If you guys like hotkeys, just go ahead and use them. There is a clear all button down here, so instead of going in and one by one clearing them, you can just press the clear all button, and that will help you out. Other thing you want to get set are your time zones. Now, thankfully, with their newest update, and I think probably a few updates ago, but I just noticed it recently, they actually have a button that will just do it automatically, so you don't have to go in and manually do this. You used to have to manually do this, but go ahead and press that, do it automatically. It should do it for you, but just double check, make sure your time zones are set properly, and that will obviously give you the proper data. Okay, so for that, I think that's it for now. Actually, common settings, here is the common settings. One thing you want to double check, pretty much all of my settings are defaults, but one thing you want to double check, there is a bug with the heat map right now, where if you try to use the heat map, it will crash your platform. I would turn on VSync, make sure it's set to your proper graphics card, and then for max FPS, just set it to whatever your monitor is. So my monitor is around 250, so I just put it to 250. If you set that, you should not be crashing on your heat map anymore. Now for the rest of the settings, mine are pretty much default. You don't really need to mess with that. Another big one is for your volume profile. Make sure that is set to 70. Okay, so now that's out of the way, let's actually get into our chart settings and our widget settings. So obviously, to get the charts pulled up, go back to your dashboard. On the top left, you can press the chart button. That will open up a new chart. You can press the DOM. You can press the tape. All the buttons there are for pulling up these actual windows. And then on the top left of your dashboard, there is a button that says widgets. If you press that widgets button, it will bring up these 4 new widgets, which I'll talk about towards the end of the video. And it has the market pressure one, which is this one here. It has the price change. It has the DOM pressure as well. And it has the delta divergence. And then right here is just a normal DOM. Okay, so that is how you get everything pulled up on your screen. The charts, the DOMs, the tapes, the widgets, etc. Now that you have those pulled up on your screen, let's go into the actual settings, and I will go chart by chart here. So starting with the top left chart, we have obviously a lot of indicators. We have a price chart, etc. This is pretty much just a standard 1 minute price chart. There's not really any fancy settings here. If I go to my basic settings, you guys can screenshot this. By the way, I'm not going to sit on all these settings for very long. You can just pause the video and grab them that way. So here are my basic settings. I'll just scroll down and show them. Like I said, you can just pause it and grab those if you need it. The footprint settings, this does not matter on this chart because I am not using this chart for footprint. We'll get into the footprint settings on the actual footprint chart. So that is for the default settings of the chart. Now let's get into the indicators. Once again, I'm not going to stop on these for very long, so just go ahead and pause the video and grab what settings you need. It would take this video would take very long if I was pausing for everything. So I have a lot of indicators here. I don't use all of them all the time, so I'm just going to show you guys the ones that I actually use. So here is the watermark. The first one was the VWAP. This is the default ADMA. This is for the EMA on the cumulative delta. So this is a 60 EMA because I want a 1 hour trend line or a 1 hour EMA on my delta. So how to get that set? You want to make sure your source is set to your cumulative volume delta. Obviously, you want to have that on your indicator list. Make sure that's set on your source. And then right here on panel, make sure it's on the same panel as your delta. Okay. So here is my delta settings. What else do we use here? Here's the 24 EMA. That's the orange line. So we use an 8 EMA, 24 EMA. By the way, I'm not going to be going into strategy stuff. This is just a settings video. If you guys want my strategy stuff, you will have to check out my other playlist videos, but this is just for our settings. Here is my daily VWAP that starts at 9:30. So make sure you have the begin and the end. And then here is the actual line. Bar timer is a really good indicator to have. It will obviously be the timer for the candle. Here's the stacked imbalance, very good indicator. And then here's the block trade indicator. So this chart up here, that is for, I typically use for ES. And the one down here is a complete replica. They are exactly the same. It is just for NASDAQ. So this is where I have just a standard price action, couple of EMAs, and then our delta. Okay, once again, not a strategy video, just for our settings. So this chart here is kind of my play around chart. This is just where I'm just looking at whatever's going on at the time. I kind of click around this, I add indicators, I take off indicators. This is not a very set in stone chart. This is kind of just the chart that I play around with. But right now, what I am currently using, same thing, bar timer. This is a big one that I like to use on this chart, delta colored candles. And it will color the candles based on the delta, not based on the actual price action of the candles. And I set the period to 3, maximum delta to 500, and then we have just a basic color scheme. Another thing I like to use on this chart is the external bars. If I turn that on here, let me show you. It will show the bigger time frame candles. So right now I'm using a 30-minute candle. So if you want to see a 30-minute candle on top of the lower time frame, that helps a lot. So those are the settings there. Once again, watermark, and then once again, bar timer. I think you should have a watermark and a bar timer on pretty much every single chart. Okay, for the big one, this one you guys are going to have to pay attention to because this has a lot of settings. So first, let's grab the indicators. So this is a block trade indicator, same as the other charts. Actually, not exactly the same. It's using a diamond, and I believe it's a little bit bigger. Candle stats, this is for the number that you see above or below the candle. It's going to show you the volume and the delta. It can show you other things, but I only have the volume and the delta turned on. And then here are my settings. This is a big one. Be very careful with this one. You can mess this up very easily. This is for the little boxes that show up that tell us where there is very high delta. So I have one for plus 1,000 and I have one for minus 1,000. So basically showing us where there are really big orders coming in. And I also have one for the smaller size as well. So these are like the 300 to 1,000 and negative 300 to negative 1,000. So be careful with those settings. Let me show you the visualization here as well, because these are very easy to mess up. Just make sure you're matching the number here. Make sure it's set to delta, and then make sure you're matching the colors. Next up is I have fractals. This I really don't even need. I could honestly probably just delete this, but it's just showing you a little dot when there is a bullish or bearish fractal being formed. A fractal is when you have the highest high in the middle, and then it comes down on the 2 candles after and the 2 candles before. And then same thing for the buy side as well. Just flip it up in reverse. This is a big one that I like to use. This is called color bar higher high and lower low. So if it's a candle that is breaking the high and breaking the low at the same time, it will be colored teal. If it's only breaking the high, it will be colored yellow. If it's only breaking the low, it will be colored purple. So that one lets you know kind of which way the candle is being taken out. Then I have this, funny enough, this is called a highest indicator. I'm actually using it as a midline. So this little yellow square, it's marking the middle of the candle. It's called highest, but like I said, I'm using it for the middle. And here is how to get that on the middle. Daily high and low, this is what I use for exactly what it's called, daily high and low. It will make a line that follows the high of day and low of day. And then once again, always have a watermark, always have a bar timer. Okay, so that was just for the indicators. That does not copy this chart. To copy this chart, you actually have to be very careful. You need to go into the settings. Here are my visual settings. Make sure to copy these. But this is the very important setting. Because this is our footprint chart, you need to match these pretty much identical to how I have them right now. So I have delta, full row, color scheme delta. There are my colors. These are not being used, so that doesn't matter. This is a big one. If you want it to have 2 footprints, which we do, we have delta on the left and volume on the right. You have to turn on this additional footprint. And then here are my settings for that additional footprint. So the first one is doing delta. The second one is doing volume. Okay. And then here are the settings. I don't think I changed any of these, but just in case, there you go. And then, by the way, for trading settings, I don't really use these. It's all turned off. Okay. And then this is set to a 30-minute chart, but you can set it to whatever you want. If you want to have it on a 5-minute, whatever, doesn't matter. Okay, there are a couple more charts here. We don't use them as much, so I'm not going to go into massive detail, but I will show you a couple more charts. So this is one that I use for the weekly volume profile. And the biggest thing you want here is this one right here. So we have a couple of profiles here. We have a daily profile, which I'll show you my settings. I'll make sure to click through most of these. Most of these little ones don't matter. They're actually just defaults. But I'm just showing them just in case. This is a weekly profile, so this is the big one. Make sure it's set to weekly. Auto proportion is turned on. Profile type is volume. And then here are all the settings. This doesn't matter because we're not using the TPO. And then I don't believe I've changed any of this because once again, we're not using the TPO. And then I have this, I have a couple of VWAPs. So I have like a weekly VWAP and a daily VWAP. And then here are my settings for those VWAPs. This is for the longer term analysis, right? When we're analyzing the weekly profile, typically later in the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then there are the settings. I believe most of this is default. I just turned off all the extra stuff. So all of that stuff is hidden. And then once again, always have a watermark. And then this one is set to an hour. You can set it to a daily or a 30-minute. Doesn't really matter. The big thing that matters is that weekly volume profile and the weekly VWAP. I have an identical NASDAQ chart. The NASDAQ chart is the same as the ES chart. Oh, a big thing to check with these charts is the scaling. So you can press this little arrow button here. I'm typically scaled by 2, but recently we've been trading so aggressively that these candles are so wide that I want to scale by 4. And these are ticks, by the way. So scaling by 2 ticks or scaling by 4 ticks, which is a point, right? So typically I'm set to 2. Very aggressive days, I'm set to 4. All right. Okay, moving on to a little bit of a weird chart here. This is a delta chart. So up here, you would have to select delta and then set it to 500. If it's not up here, you can make it custom on, I forgot where to do it, configure. You can press configure and you can make a custom one. So mine is set to 500 and I'm only loading a couple of days, right? 1 day actually. And then once again, you go into the settings, which by the way, you just right click the chart, go into settings, and then here are the footprint settings to get that delta chart. So delta centered, positive, negative, heat map by delta. There's the color scheme. I have these contrasts turned all the way down, and then upper cutoff is like 30%, I think. It's like 38%. Yeah, 33%. And then here are the settings. I think these are all default. This is mainly used for finding walls. When there's a very obvious buy wall or a sell wall, you can see it on this chart. I don't have any great examples right now, but you'll just have to watch my live streams. Like I said, this video is not for going over this stuff. It's just to show you my settings. This chart is pretty much the same as the other chart, but instead of showing a weekly profile, it's usually set to our daily profile. So it's a 30-minute chart with VWAP set to a daily profile. So using the same settings that I had on the other chart, it's just showing the daily instead of the weekly. And to make this chart very easy, you could literally just clone the other chart and then turn off the weekly profile and then turn on the daily profile. And that's exactly what I did. I just cloned it, saved it as a template, cloned it, made it another one. Okay? All right, so that is all of those settings for these 4 main charts. Now let's get into the slightly more complicated stuff. This one I'm still playing around with. It's just a DOM that has an order flow window and a liquidity map. And then here are my settings for that. They are pretty much defaults. I didn't really change a whole lot here. I think this is the big one that I changed. The filter on the order flow is set to 5. So instead of set to like 0, where it just shows you every trade, it's filtered a little bit. And then liquidity, I think I filtered this one as well. No, I did not. So upper cutoff is set to 0, contrast all the way turned up. And then I don't know if I changed that, but that's set to 30. And then here are my common settings as well. I don't believe I've changed any of these. Oh yeah, auto center. That's one you want to change. It will keep your chart centered. I have it set to 1, 2, 30. Okay, next up is my filtered tape. This is the main tape here. This one is filtered for 25 contracts on ES. Basically just cutting out all of the bots, cutting out the smaller bots. And there's a couple of alerts for the big trades, the 300 contracts and the 1,000 contracts. This is another filtered tape. This is the block trade tape. So same exact tape, you can just copy and paste it, but the difference is the filters. So this one is filtered for 100, so it only shows larger than 100. And then my block trade is for 1,000. My big alert is for 1,000. So this is my normal filtered tape, then a block trade tape. Here's my NASDAQ block trade tape. So this one's just color-coded a little bit different, filtered for 100. And then the block trade is for 200, a little bit lower on NASDAQ. This is an oil tape. I had this obviously because of the oil stuff going on. Same exact tape, just copy and pasted it. The filters are set to 3 on oil because oil doesn't move as much. Okay, last chart, and then we'll get into the widgets. This chart is another one that gives people a lot of issues, so make sure to follow these settings exactly. This one gives people a lot of problems. Okay, so for the market profile and TPO indicator, that is the big indicator here, make sure to follow these pretty much exactly. There was a big issue that people were having where there's a big gap between the market profile and the volume profile. There's a lot of space in between. How to get rid of that space is you turn off this setting right here. So make sure to turn off the auto proportion. Make sure your starting time and your end time matches your market time. I'm on the East Coast of the US, so that is my market time right there. And like I said, just make sure to follow these pretty much exactly. And by the way, if you guys are in Discord, this is a lot easier for you. I have a template already made for you guys in the settings and templates channel. You can just go and download that. I don't like having a public template because I have to constantly update it over and over and over again. And also, I think it's just a little bit of a benefit for the Discord guys. Like I said, be very careful with these. Make sure to follow these pretty much exactly. I think that was everything. Let me double check. Oh yeah, really big setting right here. This is for ES. If you guys are using ES, I have it set to 2 points. That means that every single little box is 2 points. I don't like using auto because it changes them based on the volatility. I want my boxes to be the same every single day. Now, recently, the volatility has been extremely high, so I have thought about changing that to make it more than 2 points, but I really like 2 points. I've been using it for years, and it gives you great reactions on the single prints, the poor levels, etc. Like I said, watch my market profile video for that. But yeah, that's a really big setting. Just make sure you guys are watching these settings and copying them pretty much identically. Bar timer, as I said, have a bar timer on everything. And then here's an initial balance indicator. So I have a bunch of things hidden, and then I'm only showing a couple of things. Here are the ones that I'm showing. And I believe my chart settings are the same on this. By the way, it's set to a 30-minute chart. So this is a 30-minute. But let me just show you my settings just in case. I'm pretty sure these settings are pretty much default. Oh, I think this is a special one. I have it set to a custom time. So it's only set to the cash hours. And then footprint doesn't matter because we're not using footprint. But there are the settings if you need them. And that should be it for those. Now let's move on to the widgets. This is the newest thing with the ATAS update. These things are awesome, by the way. If you guys are on ATAS, you 100% should be using these. They are fantastic. Okay, let's just go bottom to top. So first up is the delta divergence. It's exactly what it sounds like. It shows you when there is a delta divergence. So when price is going one way, it will tell you the ticks it is moving in that direction based on the time frame, and then how much delta in that direction. So if it's going down, how much delta have we had in that same time frame? It's also going down. Okay, so there is no divergence. What if price was going down and delta was going up? We would have a divergence. So it would tell you, is that a bull div or a bear div? And it will also tell you how long that divergence has been going on. Fantastic indicator. This is probably my favorite one of the entire widget list. So I have the 5-second and 15-second turned on. I'm not a micro scalper. Those are way too fast for me. I could probably even turn off the 30-minute and the 1-minute, but the other ones are very, very good. Okay, next up is price change. This is basically just a speed of tape. So it talks about like how fast the price is moving. My setting changes. Period is set to 1 minute. Training period 5 minute. Mode, rate of change, threshold turned all the way up. And that's just going to tell you how fast the price is moving. Market pressure, exactly what it sounds like. It's just a buy and sell pressure indicator. If you want like the exact formulas, just go to their help section, their learn page. It will tell you what it's doing. It's basically just buy pressure. So volume pressure set to medium, threshold set to 70. This one is another very good one. If you guys remember, I used to show the level 1 liquidity on my DOM. I don't need to do that anymore because they have a DOM pressure indicator that I can show the level 1 liquidity a lot better on just this indicator here. So this will tell us how much liquidity is on the level 1, the best offer and the best bid. It's set to horizontal. Threshold is set to 70. Levels 10. Fade ratio is set to 3. Training period is set to 5 minutes. And that is, I believe, it, guys. That's pretty much everything here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. These widgets, like I said, just turn these on, guys. They are fantastic. If you guys have ATAS installed, if you guys have access to the widgets, just turn them on. They are amazing. One more time, guys. Thank you to ATAS for supporting the channel. They do not do promo codes very often. They only do promo codes typically around holidays, but they were nice enough to give us a promo code for this video. So please, if you guys want to get ATAS, if you guys want to support the channel, you can use code BREW10. It will give you 10% off. There's less than a month left on this promo code. I think there's a couple of weeks left on this promo code. By the way, if you guys purchase an annual plan, you get 1 month Discord access as well. Just send me your receipt to my email. I should have put the email on here. Sorry about that. It is admin@oasistrading.io. admin@oasistrading.io. Just send me your screenshot of you using the code and the receipt. If you purchase an annual plan, you get 1 month Discord. By the way, put your Discord username in that email with your TradingView username, and I'll get you guys access to that as well. For the ATAS lifetime, I will give you guys 3 months Discord access, which comes with all the indicators for TradingView as well. But yeah, ATAS, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I appreciate that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them down below. But hopefully that helped you guys out. If you guys want to see how to use ATAS, just come by the live stream. I stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. I use ATAS every single day for our ES and NASDAQ trading and sometimes oil as well. So check out any of my live streams and also check out my order flow playlist. There's a bunch more ATAS videos on there as well. But all right, guys, I appreciate you being here. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace, everybody.